Day
Hey
2,
there.
let's go. Logan, what was your opinion on Bucks Day 2?
I overall I thought the Bucs day two went really well. We talked about earlier the potential for them trading down if they didn't have exactly the people they wanted, and they did, and they traded down to New England, and then they used that pick to trade down to then trade up again. So they ended up with three picks today, and then they were all pretty solid picks.
Yeah,
I
three
mean,
three picks in round
yeah,
2, one pick in round 3.
yeah.
So pretty darn good. A lot of trades in between. We're gonna be talking about all of it. A lot of stuff happened today. A lot of stuff happened today, actually. Um, so let's talk about the first pick because there was no trading involved in that one, thankfully.
Yeah.
Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones was the pick, not Darius Geis, not actually I wasn't expecting Royce Freeman, but Nick Chubb was already gone at that point. He went to the Cleveland Browns,
Hmm.
which Carlos Hyde, I'm sorry, you know, eh, he'll be
Yeah.
fine. He'll be
Didn't even
fine.
think about that.
But it's gonna be a committee anyway. So Ronald Jones was the pick. How do you feel about that?
After thinking about it, it's a pick I actually really like. Ronald Jones was a really big recruit coming out of high school, really big five-star recruit. So it's clear that he has a lot of athleticism, a lot of potential. And at USC, they kind of had an up and down past few seasons. They made the Rose Bowl this year. Obviously, they had Sam Darnold, so they had a good offense. But I don't think that they really, at times, featured Ronald Jones enough.
Hmm.
I saw him firsthand. Ohio State played against him in the Rose Bowl, and our defensive linemen, who all are going to be high NFL draft picks, they kind of were able to contain him and shut him down. But I do think he's a really athletic guy. He's not a bruiser like Nick Chubb, which is kind of more of the running backs that I like. I'm more partial to. But today came out with some potential off-field concerns with Darius Geis, so it's probably the reason why the Buccaneers and many other teams moved away from him. So looking beyond that, I think Ronald Jones is a really solid pick. Also, he's very good out of the backfield. He can be a very dynamic receiving threat out of the backfield, so that could be a big thing for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and what I was hearing a lot of comparisons to Jamal Charles, and I also heard that if he gets an open space, he can be pretty dangerous.
Yeah,
Uh, from what I heard about Geis, 'cause somebody asked just in the comments here, I'm gonna need you patrolling on those because I'm gonna try and make sure nothing dies here because I've been having problems with my software. Anyway,
I got
so um, what I heard the thing with Geis is why he was falling so badly is because apparently there's some ongoing investigation, and it's pretty embarrassing, not just to Geis, but to the team that would have drafted him. So I'm curious to see what it is.
you. They didn't come out and say what it was yet.
I don't think so. I didn't see anything on it.
Yeah, they
Um,
said something happened during Combine week. Something happened with the Combine. I didn't see what.
yeah, maybe he lied about the well, did wasn't he the player that got asked if he was a homosexual or not?
That and then also his mom was like prostitute, so there was some stuff there.
Maybe he lied and that was the investigation. Because that'd be
Yeah,
kind of a big deal if he point blank came out and lied. You know?
yeah, it could be, but yeah, clearly there's enough off-field concerns that teams wanted to move away from him, and I think Ronald Jones is.
I think
I think
Ronald
he's
I
going to
think
be
Ronald
a
Jones was the
really
best
solid
running
guy.
back there if you weren't gonna pick Geis.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought he was gonna be a first round pick. He should have went where frickin' Rashad Penny went,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah,
Somebody I think it was Adam Rank said like, "Congratulations, Bucks, you just got the next Jamal Charles." If that's the case, then that's pretty good. But at the same time, you got to be a little bit concerned about injuries and whatnot. That's always going to be a concern, I feel like, which is what it is. Moving on though to pick 21, the Bucks did not trade away this pick, and they selected MJ Stewart, cornerback out of UNC. Surprising pick to me, especially considering I believe Isaiah Oliver was still on the board. Dante Jackson had just went the pick before, and Isaiah Oliver was still on the board. So what do you think their thought process was in that? Because from what I heard, Stewart was one of the better, if not the best, slot cornerback in this draft. So what do you think the
yeah.
thought process was there?
I'm gonna pull up try to get some measurables for him, just to kind of curious to see.
I think he's
But
like I think he's like 5'11", 202 pounds. Uh,
okay, so yeah. If they're looking for slot corner, I know. I believe who's right now. Is Vernon Hargreaves playing the slot right now?
Technically, yes.
Technically, yes.
He finished the year playing in the slot.
So I think the idea with that was trying to move some of their corners to more of their like natural cornerback spots as opposed to kind of where they need to put them.
Yeah.
So that could have been an effort to do that, and but kind of at that point, a lot of those higher guys like Isaiah Oliver had just been taken by Atlanta, which I feel like pretty sad for.
Falcons have been having a pretty
Yeah, I'm impressed with their draft
it's
so
whatever.
far.
Who cares? Who cares? So
Yeah.
anyway, and it's weird. It's funny. The Panthers and the Falcons have actually had, at least in the first two rounds, they had the same two picks: wide receiver and one quarterback and two. It's just interesting. Anyway, so and just to dispel the rumor, the talk that is he going to play safety a little bit? Is he going to be a slot corner? They had their press conference a little bit ago, and they came out and said, we view him as a cornerback, specifically nickel.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of dispels that. Um, oh, wow, okay. Logan, do you know what a super chat is?
No.
So what a super chat is it's a donation, I guess you could.
Okay.
It's okay. So we got a $1.99 super chat from Siege the Way Bucks. He says, "War damn eagle, go Bucks."
Wait, War Dan Eagle. Oh, Auburn. So he's a Carlton Davis fan.
Auburn. So
Okay.
thank you so much for the super chat, man. First super. I'm gonna remember that. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
man.
write that one down. So thank you so
Siege
much
the
for the,
Way. Oh, it's a good name too.
thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Siege the Way Bucks. Yeah, that should probably Siege the Way. I love it. Anyway, so back to what we were saying with and don't worry, we'll get to Carlton Davis. Back to MJ Stewart. So a lot of people were kind of like, "What? That was kind of unexpected." And would you agree with that sentiment? Honestly, he wasn't on my radar.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that sentiment. He was not one of the top few guys I thought. And again, there's that whole debate of what are you looking for between the guys that have, the better tape versus some of the more athleticism, the more potential. And he was definitely a guy that they looked right there at that spot and said, we think he has a little bit more potential than some of the guys who are maybe a little bit more proven.
Yeah, and I don't, and just talking about, I don't know how I would have felt if we had gotten two really tall corners. I think I still would have liked it. Don't get me wrong. I would have enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's gonna be. I can tell you this. Vernon Hargreaves, man, he did not have a fun second round. Um, I think I think that competition for the slot cornerback job, that's gonna be pretty legitimate. That's gonna be pretty darn legitimate because you're gonna have. Let's just assume the person who was picked later on. Let's just assume he's our number two corner, which he probably will be. That's going to be a former first round pick versus a second round pick. that's pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep competition right there, in my opinion. So, I like it. I do like that pick, and they say he's versatile. He's a good tackler. He can cover running backs, cover tight ends. So, all in all, I do enjoy the pick a lot. Do you think that this? Do you think Stewart could grow into eventually a starting quarterback after Brent Grimes leaves?
Yeah, I definitely think. I mean, I would say if you're drafting a person and they're in the second to fourth round, you might not be expecting all pros. Maybe Pro Bowler higher up in the second round, but you are expecting them to turn into starters. So I think they're going to have Brent Grimes for the next year on contract, and after that, it's up. Is that correct?
So Brent Grimes' contract, he has a 1 year deal, and after that, it's up. He may retire, he may go away, whatever happens. But after that,
Yeah.
they'll have MJ Stewart, and they will have Vernon Hargreaves, and they will have a guy who was picked later. We'll get to that. So, honestly, they did exactly what I wanted them to. I remember I was talking with you about it, and all the mock drafts I did, all the talk we did about it. I think I even joked about taking two corners earlier today.
Yeah, you did.
We made joke about it. They actually went out and did it. And I remember when I was doing the mock drafts during this whole process, I always had them taking two corners, but I didn't have them taking two corners early. I had them taking one early on, and then I had them taking one later. Like, I mean, way later. Like with like a seventh round pick. I wasn't
Hmm.
expecting this, and they really just attacked their needs today, specifically at the defensive position. And at the running back position, they basically just wiped their hands of both those needs and said, "All right, we've got some guys in place now. We're gonna see what we can do."
Yeah, so just jumping real quick, if back to the Ronald Jones pick, what does the running back depth chart look like for Tampa Bay right now in your mind?
So as it stands right now, it is Ronald Jones, it is Peyton Barber, Jaquiz Rogers, and Charles Sims. Charles Sims is back, Logan. Isn't that great? Aren't you
I love
happy?
it.
Aren't you so happy that Charles Sims is? Logan's a big
I'm
Charles
sure.
Sims fan.
I'm the biggest fan. Yeah,
He's the
but what?
biggest fan. He loved when the Bucs picked Charles Sims in the third round, and he didn't think it was a reach, and he didn't think that it was a waste of a pick at all. Anyway, so yeah, that's our that's our depth chart. Ronald Jones is, in my opinion, the clear number one. Where they'll
Okay.
use, and I
You
think
think day one number, first guy out?
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
The guy was supposed to be a first round pick, in my opinion. I think there was talk he could go into the teens to the Seahawks. Um, it kind of went like this. It went Barkley is number one, Geis is probably number two, but
Yeah,
maybe Ronald Jones is number two. We don't know yet, because
yeah,
basically it went like this. It said Barkley's number one, Geis is number two, and if you're worried about the character issues, Jones is number two,
mm,
essentially. So I love the pick. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he was day one starter. I don't think that. Um, I mean, and just in the press conference, Jason Light came out and said like all these guys are going to compete for starting roles. Everybody we drafted today is going to compete for a starting role in some capacity, and I feel that that's the one knock against Ronald Jones is can he be a three back starter? Can he stay healthy? Can he get enough? Will he be able to handle enough carries?
hmm
And obviously that's just a wait and see type thing. But
yeah. I hope so.
yeah, and I think he can handle it.
I agree. Yeah, and just to catch people up in the comments, just to wrap up running back talk, we talked about how Geis apparently had a lot of off-field concerns that drew a lot of teams away from him today, which is why he fell to the pretty late in the second round. So
Yeah. So, and the experts loved that pick. They said, "Holy crap." Okay, good job, Bucks. And I think it would have
yeah,
been Nick Chubb. I don't think it'd be that different. But the big thing that I love about this Ronald Jones pick is it gives the Bucks something different that they haven't had in a long time. Um, when's the last time you remember that they had a starting caliber? Not Charles Sims, a skinny a skinnier, smaller frame, elusive running back instead of a bigger bowling ballish type power back.
yeah. I mean, I'm not the biggest Bucks historian, but at least someone in the comics said Cadillac Williams 2.0.
Oh
Um,
no, no,
I
his
know
knees, protect the
Cadillac.
knees.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hope not for
Let's not
health
hope the
wise, but
injuries.
as far as production, yeah. So I think it could be really good.
I think it could be pretty interesting too. And moving on from that now, we liked that pick, and getting back to the cornerback position. Um, do you think now the Bucks are pretty much in a clear position to address safety in rounds 4, 5, and 6 because they don't have a seventh? They have a mid-ish fourth round pick, and then they have an early fifth, and I believe an early sixth. So do you think that they'll consider taking safeties here? There is still the safety from I think there's still some pretty decent safeties out there.
Yeah, so I think I was happy with the Bucs strategy today because I thought safety going today in rounds 2 and 3 would be kind of a reach because again there's that really big drop off between some of those higher guys. I do think if they could have got a Justin Reed today, then that could have been a pretty valuable pick. But outside of that, there's some definitely quality guys left. So I would imagine that they'll be getting a safety somewhere near. So what's the remaining draft picks that are left for the Bucs?
So, moving on to pick 24. Oh, what picks they have left?
Yeah,
They
what
have
what
a fourth rounder, a fifth rounder, and a sixth rounder. The fourth rounder, I believe, is a mid-ish fourth rounder, and then they have a early fifth and either a early 6th or a late 6th. So that's
Okay.
kind of what they have left. And then moving on from MJ Stewart, he's kind of going to be our slot guy. He's going to compete with Hargraves for that job. That's expected. Moving on to pick 24. I believe it was pick 24.
No, they traded
No,
down. So
I know. So
I got you.
moving on to pick 24. Okay, they traded back with New England. They got an extra 4th. I believe they got what did they end up getting? They got a 4th. I know that. And they got they moved back in the second round. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
They moved back in the second round. So they moved back to pick 31 in the second round. Okay, they moved back to pick 31 in the second round. Got a 4th rounder too. It's been a long day. So, with that pick, I think the Patriots ended up taking a cornerback from Florida. That's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
A little bit later, the Falcons take Isaiah Oliver.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that pick? Because I know some people that wanted Isaiah Oliver. I know there were people out there.
Yeah, he was the guy I was hoping they were going to take with their first pick. I mean, I was happy they took running back, but if they would have stayed at that pick, I'm surprised with the first one, MJ Stewart, that they had him higher on their board than Isaiah Oliver. I would imagine he was right up there next to him, but I believe Isaiah Oliver is a little bit different of a cornerback. He's a bigger one, so if they were looking for that slot cornerback, MJ Stewart was kind of the top guy left. But yeah, I thought the Isaiah Oliver pick was really good, and I think the Buccaneers ended up looking really smart at this pick because I'd imagine they had Carlton Davis, who we're about to get to, higher on their board than Duke Dawson, which is who the Patriots chose in that spot. So then going down to that pick, they kind of got the guy they wanted, and were able to.
And honestly, for the whole MJ Stewart pick, if it would have been switched and the Panthers had taken MJ Stewart, I'm pretty confident to say that the Bucs would have taken Dante Jackson there.
Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, just to throw that one out there, I know people like to throw out scenarios like that. Well, if that player was picked instead of this player, do you think we would have gotten this player? And it's like, okay, well.
Yeah. So staying on cornerback stuff, you have a comment here asking, what does Hargreaves' future look like in Tampa Bay? What does he have left as far as his contract? And
so he has a couple years left. He was drafted in 2015. I think he has 2 more years left on his deal. It's honestly, I don't think it's as bad as people think it is. Because keep in mind, after Brent Grimes, this is all about building for whenever Brent leaves. Think about what happens after Brent Grimes leaves. We have MJ Stewart, you have Vernon Hargraves, and you have Carlton Davis.
Yeah.
Two of these guys will have had 1 year of development. One guy will have had 3 years of development, and would probably be in a position to maybe be your number 2 or your number 1, depending on where you think the other 2 guys are. So honestly, I think he's fine. I don't think he's in any danger of going anywhere. I mean, do you, Logan, or no?
No, I don't think so. I think after this year is where the Bucs will kind of have the option of whether to pick him up for his last year, and especially if they're worried about Brent Grimes, I would imagine that they would keep that option then.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'd be around at least guaranteed for 2 more years, and then after that, kind of see how these young guys develop, and then maybe they'll want to pay him money, to be cornerback 1 money,
He's gonna be QB 1.
Yeah, QB 1, move over Jameis. Or they decide to kind of let him go on, and maybe they go target additional corners in future drafts.
Yeah. So honestly, I love this move. I mean, they really prepared for whenever Brent Grimes leaves. Be it through retirement, be it through he doesn't want to be in Tampa anymore. He loves Tampa. I don't think he'll ever leave Tampa. If he ever leaves, I think it would be from retirement. I think this season will be more likelier than not his last season in terms of just playing. So I mean, this was all about prepping for stuff like that. This is kind of what this whole draft's been about, and I like it. So anyway, moving on. So they traded down to pick 31. Got a couple extra picks. We'll get to that.
Tell
later.
the people what you think about them. Tell them. Go ahead.
They selected Carlton Davis. Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Logan, guess what?
You love it.
I love it. This is one of my favorite picks of the draft. Not my favorite pick. For the Bucs, I mean.
Yeah.
Because I love this pick. Obviously, Ronald Jones is a really nice pick too, and Vita Vea is a wonderful pick. I don't think it's better than those two, but it's
Yeah.
really nice. It's so good. We finally have a tall cornerback. Praise the Lord. Finally, 6'1". Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. Like, this is phenomenal. We got a 6th-round cornerback. I hope you guys all enjoyed this this pick. I hope you guys all enjoyed this pick because I love this pick. Logan, how do you feel about this pick? Because I know, like, I think he was the best cornerback available by far.
Yeah, it's actually I have a pretty interesting history with Carlton Davis, just as far as being an Ohio State fan. He's actually a guy that was committed to Ohio State, signed to play at Ohio State, and then for whatever reason, our team doctors said that he was ineligible to play because of the worry with his knees, and so they didn't allow him to come to Ohio State. And so he then moved on to Auburn, and he played there 3 years, healthy, and is now on to the NFL. Yeah, so it kind of makes me wonder, like, what Ohio State's team doctors were thinking with him because he's shown to be healthy. So, like, in the very back of my mind, there's this like small lingering concern over, something in his knees if he gets it injured again that he won't be able to recover. But I mean, as far as his on-field production, it's really been really wonderful. And like, obviously, Ohio State, we kind of have that claim to DBU right now with a few other schools. And he was a guy that Ohio State wanted. They liked him and they thought he had potential. So I think he's great football guy, and I think as long as he stays healthy, he's going to be a really great selection. A lot of people had him pretty high up on their cornerback boards. So the fact that they're able to get the slot corner they wanted and get him, I think, was a really positive thing for the Bucs.
Yeah, and this is very reminiscent to me of, it's not obviously the same thing, but for both these guys, for both Carlton Davis and for MJ Stewart, they said that they both had very intense, like, press calls or whatever, very intense calls when they were drafted. And the main thing was that, like, all they want to do is win. They're so focused on winning, and they're to an intense level. And it kind of this Carlton Davis pick reminds me a little bit of the Aqib Talib pick. He does get comparisons to Richard Sherman. Carlton Davis does, and I kind of agree with that. I kind of feel he's more in the mold of maybe an Aqib Talib, because I mean that's honestly what it reminds me of. But and he doesn't have any character issues, I think.
Oh,
from what I remember.
Yeah.
If the one knock is maybe some injury concerns, maybe. I like this pick a lot. I honestly didn't think he was going to be there. I forgot he was on the board. Because I just assumed that he was gone. So whenever they said, like, oh, Carlton Davis, Auburn, I was like, he was still there. I thought he was gonna. We talked about even him getting taken at the top of the 2nd round, and we ended up getting him at the very bottom of the 2nd round. Very nice pick in my opinion. And that's the kind of guy that you can have be a number 2, maybe day 1, if you don't think Hargraves is ready, or isn't stepping up as a number 2, you can put Carlton Davis there, and he's kind of that guy I feel that you can grow into a number 1.
Yeah.
For sure. He's got the size, he's got the skills. I think he's still pretty athletic, right?
Yeah, Carlton Davis is very athletic. Again, like, especially if you're looking at people that Ohio State is going to recruit at cornerback, they're guys that are really high athleticism is what they look for. And there was a question in the comments about that, and someone asked if they think he would have gone higher if he played at Ohio State. And I
think so.
He probably would have, just because Ohio State produced Marshawn Lattimore last year, and he went on to be defensive rookie of the year.
Whatever.
Yeah, like we one thing we're really good at is developing and training up corners. So I think if Ohio State would have had him in their program, then he would have been maybe a 1st-round pick. Maybe a 2nd rounder, but
even then, there was still talk about him maybe going in the 1st round. I was very surprised he slid all the way to 31.
Yeah, I agree.
Very nice pick. Like I said, this draft, it's been all about either getting guys who will be the future. Like, they've taken that whole building for the future thing that I've been seeing on, like, the whole NFL, like, how, like, during the draft, like, on the big screens they have, like, oh, welcome to the future, or something like that, or like something about the future or whatever. And the Bucs have really taken that to heart, because you have Vita Vea, who eventually will become possibly the number one defensive tackle once Sherman McCoy leaves. Maybe by the end of his rookie contract, Vita Vea's rookie contract, whatever. You got Brent Grimes. They obviously prepared for that, and you got Ronald Jones, who I think that all these guys are going to be starters. Maybe not MJ Stewart. I still think Hargraves might win out that slot corner job. We don't know yet, obviously. But very nice draft up to this point. So moving into the third round, Bucs obviously did not have a third round pick. They lost it to the Jason Pierre-Paul trade. However, they did have 2 fourth rounders and a 6th rounder. Ooh, sneaky intrigue. Are they going to trade back in? Well, let's get to it. So the third round happened. Honestly, I wasn't paying much attention to the third round. I was thinking about eating food. I have not eaten food yet today. That was what I was thinking about, because I was like, they're not going to trade up, probably. If they do, I don't know who they're going to take. I honestly wasn't expecting them to get anybody, and then it got to the Vikings pick near the end of the third round. I think it was pick 94, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 94. They end up trading up, so they give up their 4th round pick. I think it was a good move for the Vikings. They don't move back that far. They're right at the top of the 4th round now, and they ended up getting a 6th rounder to move back. So, that's not true. I like this move more for the Bucs than I do for the Vikings, because you're not giving up a whole lot. You're essentially giving up a 6th rounder to move up 7-8 picks. That's pretty good. And you get Alex Cappa, offensive guard. Now, he was the top-rated offensive guard in Division II. Let's talk about that. I know there's a lot of flack. How do you feel? There's a lot of flack on Division II guys. But how do you feel about the pick, Logan? About the whole Alex Cappa to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Trading up for Alex Cappa at that. See, me personally, I like the pick. I think this guy's a mauler. I think he's nasty. I think he's got a mean streak in him. But if you had to give your opinion on it, what do you think it would be?
So it kind of actually reminded me of the Ali Marpet pick that the Bucs had a few years ago, and I was kind of like, who? And how would you say that's worked out so far?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he's still starting, right?
He is still a very strong starter. He's the second best offensive lineman. Pro Football Focus rated him as one of the top centers last year, and then the year before that, he was a top 5 guard, I believe.
Yeah, so I think I think I'm gonna kind of trust the Bucs with their O line, and the guys that they're picking as far as who they want, and so it's clear that the Bucs had their guy that they are looking at, and they say, you know what, he's there, he's gonna go up, and we're gonna get him. So
yeah, and people will say that this was a reach, da 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 da. Mike Mayock said, I have never seen tape that is better than his. This guy apparently was just literally killing people in Division II. Former bouncer, fun fact. Former bouncer, so apparently he was just ruining people's lives in Division II. And the reason that he was so far down was that people were worried about him and his ability to play at the next level. Basically the same thing that they said with Ali Marpet.
Yeah.
Ali Marpet obviously worked better with that. So I think that this guy could start at right guard, Alex Cappa. I think he does have a chance to work at right guard. By the way, somebody just said Bucs should get the Ohio State defensive backs coach. Just throwing that one out there. So
Tennessee took him, so now he's the Tennessee defensive backs coach. It's very sad.
Crap.
But we got a rich tradition, and the next man up. Anyway.
Next man up, yeah. We'll just wait until next time. Anyway, so this guy, people will say it's a reach, whatnot. I still think this guy. I honestly, if you want my hot take or whatever you want to call it, I think this guy will be the starter at right guard.
Who's he battling?
He's battling J.R. Sweezy, who is not healthy right now. He has dealt with back injuries, and he's now dealing with leg injury. He has not been. I don't know if he's played. I think he has. I don't know. I think there is a strong chance that J.R. Sweezy has not played a game for the Bucs since he has been signed, and he got signed last offseason. or no, 2 off seasons ago, I think. One, it was either last season or the off season before. No, it had to have been last off season. What am I talking about? Anyway, so there, I think he has a very legitimate chance to be the starter.
What about the potential of him going at tackle and going up against Dotson?
I don't think that's possible. I mean, I
Because
think it is
he was
possible, but I don't know if that'll
most teams
happen.
most teams had him as an offensive tackle as far as their projection for him.
Yeah, I mean, but also what I've been reading, what I've been hearing is that he's very slow. He's one of the slowest offensive linemen in the draft, and so that kind of I feel like
Yeah,
it kind of suits more to a guard.
yeah, that's fair.
Um, and I think that you've developed three years now into. I think you developed 3 years into Donovan Smith being your starting left tackle. I don't think that's going to change. Um, and I like what the Bucs are doing with their offensive line because, like you said, Ali Marpet, one of the better offensive linemen for this team, they moved him to left guard to help out Donovan Smith, and I like that move.
Yeah,
I like that move a lot. So now you're going to slide in this right guard, and next to him will be Ryan Jensen, the new center that the Bucs signed, highest paid center in the league. Fun fact. And you're also slotting him next to DeMar Dotson, who is basically, essentially, he's the leader of this offensive line. He actually gets rated. He's been a top 5 right tackle, top 3 actually. I think he was actually no, he was rated number 2 last year, I think, as a number 2 right tackle by Pro Football Focus last year. So
huh,
I feel like you can afford to slide a rookie next to him,
yeah,
in between that center and Dodson. I feel you can afford to do that. Um, Obviously, Dodson is injured now, and that's something to maybe be concerned for. But if he's able to start by the regular season, then I think you're fine. Um, this guy apparently though he's nasty. He's a mauler. Dude's a beast. He has the best hair in the draft. So if that's ever that's a consolation prize for you, whatever you like. But I mean, like all in all, Logan, if you had to give the Bucks a draft day 2 grade, what would you give them?
If I had to give a draft day 2 grade, I'd probably give Bucks. I'd say probably a B plus.
Yeah,
I like the
I
pick.
was just about to say B plus.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the picks they made, and I'm glad Ronald Jones, I think, actually is going to turn out to be a really, really good pick,
Hmm.
and really glad they went back-to-back corners. But I think with MJ Stewart and Cappa, they might be guys that are high quality football guys, but I think they are people that they could have had if they had, not traded to like where they got them that they
Bit
didn't
of a
have to
reach,
get
is
them
what you're
at those
saying.
spots. Yeah, a bit of a reach. Not crazy, nothing that they should be knocked for. There's something to be said
Nothing
for
like Rashad Penny going to the Seattle
the Seattle.
Seahawks.
Yeah, nothing like that. But that's what would keep me from giving them the A minus, because I like the guys that they got. I think they're going to be really great players. It's just you can question what value they got with them.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with that. I would probably give him a B to I'd probably lean more towards a B plus. I really liked the Ronald Jones and Carlton Davis picks, and
Yeah,
I think that the Alex Cappa pick will be one of the more steals of the draft, maybe a more
I agree.
underrated pick.
Yeah,
Um,
not a lot of hype, but has a lot of potential.
the one pick that did confuse me was the MJ Stewart pick. I like the pick, but it was confusing.
Yeah,
I wasn't expected. I do like the pick, but it was confusing. So, I mean, all in all, I think they did fine. They did trade around, which I liked. I did like the trade down.
yeah,
I did
right.
like the trade down. They're making some pretty interesting trade downs. I think they've been trading very well.
Yeah. There's lots of questions about safety. Do you want to talk about maybe
That was
going
actually my follow up.
good?
If you were the Bucks now, what's the first position you would address? Because they addressed offensive line, they addressed cornerback, they addressed running back. In my mind, I think you go safety here. And talking about safeties, who's still available? I know there's the one safety from Penn State who I had mocked. Um,
Yeah. Seems like in the comments, a lot of people are pretty high on Marcus Allen out of Penn State.
yeah,
He's a guy I saw at school for 4 years. He's a really, really high character guy, really high football IQ.
yeah.
I
And I
think he
hear
was,
this is just a rumor. I hear he hits like a truck.
yeah, he's a big hitter. I think kind of the knock on him is not being as great as not not a ball hawk out of the safety, but he's going to be a good in the box safety and
Yeah.
pretty quality guy there. I think I hear like people saying, safety. Oh man, we should have addressed that by now. But I think the Bucs were smart in waiting because there are a ton of guys that are still available. So the top,
In
I think there's been 6 safeties off the board right now, but there's 6 or 7 that are supposed to be available in these next few rounds that I think could be really really good.
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm not too worried. Like I know, no, I understand the argument of we should have addressed safety earlier. I understand that, but worst comes to worst, um, you can move one of your cornerbacks to safety. Ryan Griffin or Ryan, not Ryan Griffin. What am I talking? Ryan Smith before when he got drafted in the 4th round a couple years ago, same draft as I believe Vernon Hargraves. People were saying, "Oh, we might move him to safety." That might be a move they still do if they feel he can do better there. Another option is always moving. You can always move MJ Stewart to
Yeah,
safety. So they have options. It's certainly not like they don't have any options. They do have some options just on their team right now.
yeah,
I do think that they do bring in a safety, and I would like it to be Marcus Allen. From what I've seen of him, I really like him a lot. Um, and I think it's honestly out of all the positions of need that we had, safety, in my opinion, wasn't the biggest need. It is a need, but I feel that the cesspool that was our cornerback depth, we obviously didn't have a running back. I feel like that came first.
yeah.
So I think they will take a safety. After that though, what do you think they should focus on? Do they take a kicker? Question mark.
God, I'm hoping they do not take a
I hope they
kicker.
do just for the memes, so that way we can talk about it and I can
Yeah,
see your reaction to us taking a kicker. Um,
gosh.
Realistically though, safety's obviously up there. They've done a
Yeah.
really good job. Like honestly, they've done a very good job.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, and if people want to view MJ Stewart as a safety, then there's that covered. But if you don't want to view him as a safety, obviously, then safety's the first need. Would you focus on pass rushers or no? Like, I want to hear. Like, I keep on cutting you off. I'm sorry. What would be your needs now moving forward?
Yeah, just real quick, I'm just looking at a few of the things in the comments, and I'm totally on board with people. If JT Barrett does not get drafted, the Bucs would be really smart to get him as an undrafted free agent. He's not, not the biggest arm talent, but could be good leadership on the bench. He's a guy that's going to go in and learn the playbook, contribute to a team. So just wanted to get that
Just
in there,
throwing that one out there,
my
JT
little
Barrett.
Buckeye flavor. Yeah. And so that's a good question. Somebody asked, Josh Sweat is on the board. Yes, Josh Sweat was a guy who was like #1 overall pick out of high school, has very similar athleticism to Jadeveon Clowney. He just kind of just didn't really put it together in college. So I think if it was me, I would definitely address safety. I think there's enough guys left on the board that they don't have to go with that right away. And so if it was me with my next pick, I'd probably be going after another edge rusher or a pass rusher because
Josh Sweat? Question mark.
Josh could be a Josh Sweat.
I know.
Somebody's even asking about a Shaq Griffin. They could
I know a
they could
lot of
they could
people
get
like
something
Josh
like that.
Sweat too.
Yeah, Josh Sweat is a guy who has a ton of potential. He's one of those guys that could be a 4th round pick and then turn into an all pro with the right team and the right scheme. So
Yeah.
if it was me with that next pick, I would be going after a pass rusher
Hmm.
um, and then addressing the safety in the next round after that
I mean,
because there's still 6 or 7 guys they could go with.
and I mean honestly, if I'm the Bucks, I might even consider trading up. You've done such a good job of filling the needs right now. Why not just take him out? Like, give up your fifth, maybe give up your sixth, trade back up into the fourth, and just take another guy. Get 2 4th rounders, and then that's your draft. You're still picking up, 7 players.
Yeah,
If you do that, that's pretty good. That's a full draft. That's a normal draft, getting 7 people.
yeah.
So if I was the Bucks, I would probably look at pass. If Josh Sweat's there, that's going to be hard to pass up. Do you think they go for Shaq Griffin or no?
Personally, I don't. I feel like linebacker is one of the last positions that the Bucs are looking to get in this draft, unless they have a guy they feel like they really love. And I guess a Shaq wouldn't be that guy for them. I mean, he's a guy, obviously, a great a great like story to follow, but I don't think that's kind of right now fitting with what the Bucs are look like they want to do in this draft. So I
Yeah,
think the biggest things are to get pass rusher, a safety, and then after that, I don't. Could they even look at someone like a wide receiver or you
I
know?
think they could. I always talk about how your top four receivers are set. Mike
Mhm.
Evans, Deshaun Jackson, Chris Godwin, Adam Humphries. I would like some more depth for that fifth, sixth wide receiver spot. I don't know if uh, Bobo Wilson and Freddie Martino and maybe a couple others uh, guys are ready for that yet. I think they
Yeah.
do deserve some competition. A lot of them are undrafted guys. In fact, I think
Mhm.
all of them are. So I think you get a draft pick in there specifically, be it a sixth rounder, wherever. If you don't want to trade up, maybe you give up a fifth and a pick next year, a fifth and like a seventh next year, or something to trade up late into the fourth and
Mhm.
get somebody there. But I would like a draft pick to come in and compete for that fifth, sixth wide receiver spot. I know it may not seem like a big deal, but if there's injuries, it kind of becomes a big deal.
Mhm.
Um, and after that, honestly, I couldn't tell you. Maybe more pass rusher depth. You never have enough pass rushers. And the Bucs defensive line was awful. So, worst 22 sacks. There are like
Yeah.
players who almost get that amount. Like, come on now. The
Yeah.
record, I think, the record for most sacks is either as much as that or a little bit more. There have been
Yeah.
players who have gotten as many sacks as the team
I
did
know
last year.
Justin Houston had like back-to-back 20 sack seasons. So
Yeah,
like
so one player
he's
got as many sacks as the Bucs did last year as a team. That's disturbing. And maybe
yeah.
you look for linebacker depth, maybe not. Especially for the later rounds, you could get some depth there. Um, Kendall Beckwith is actually injured. I think he is supposed to be ready for the start of the season. But if he's not, maybe you get somebody in the sixth to kind of just say, "Hey, compete for and provide some good depth for us, or special teams play, or whatever you need." But honestly, I think now you're just building on depth
Yeah,
specifically.
so right now with defensive line, so we know the four starters, but beyond that, what does depth look like there? So I know Noah
Noah
Spence,
Spence,
he's another guy.
William Golston, Mitch
Okay.
Unrein at tackle, defensive tackle, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Ryan Clark, who actually led our defensive ends in sacks last year with two. Oh,
Great.
so I think
So yeah,
that's
I
there's
definitely think I
you
definitely
need
think
some help.
pass rusher would be the next I think would be the next thing and then focus on safety.
Yeah, and I think right now, the last position that you could hypothetically get a starter with is safety. That's it.
Yeah.
After that, you're all about depth. And if you can pick up a safety in the fourth round, that's good. And if you can get Josh Sweat in the fourth round, that's also really good because now you're getting your rotation will just be filthy.
Mhm.
So, all in all, I like day two. Day three is probably going to be more slow. We're probably not going to be as busy.
Yeah.
Um, we're just gonna be gliding. I might do like a thing. We'll still be here. We'll be here, Logan. We'll see what happens. But if I had to get some final words from you about day two today, what would it be? And just about the draft in general. Would anything surprise you?
I was surprised at the specific players that the Bucks took, but I'm happy that after yesterday they kind of went best player available looking for the future that they said, you know what, today we're going to focus on what we need right now to win now to get back in the playoffs. So they went at running back, they went at cornerback, and then they looked to help shore up the offensive line. So I'm really happy with the positions that they addressed,
Yeah.
and it's only time is going to tell about the specific players. But again, I'm really happy with Ronald Jones, Carlton Davis, and then the other two. Kind of wait and see, and I think I'm hopeful that those guys are going to turn out good, especially the offensive lineman. MJ Stewart, I'm decently iffy on, but if they like him at slot, put him there and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We went good on this one, Logan. We went like 45 minutes.
Yeah, man.
We're getting pretty good at these. So anyway,
That's
thank you guys so much for watching. As always, we will see you in the next video or live stream. Did you like the Bucks day two draft? Did you hate it? Let us know down in the comment section below. And as always, we will see you in the next video or live stream. But until then, goodbye for now, guys. See ya.
peace.